Hello, all. It is March 20th. It's a beautiful sunny day in Olympia. And today, my sister and I buried our mom. She passed away on March 10th. Peacefully in her sleep, it appears. Heart failure, which she had a long history of heart issues. But in any case, we did have a full-on funeral service planned and all set up. And then coronavirus came along and took away our memorial service, and we were reduced to a graveside service, which we had adapted to and we're going to do, adhering to all the social distancing parameters that we need to right now. And then just yesterday, we were informed we couldn't do that either. That all burials now, for the duration of what's going on here in Washington State in particular, have to be direct burials. There could be no ceremony of any kind. Technically, we weren't even supposed to be allowed to be there to watch her body be interred. But thankfully, the funeral home did allow that for myself, my sister, and my son. So 3 of us there were there to bear witness to her body being interred. And oddly enough, I think that was probably just fine with Mom. You know, she's free now. She's not confused or afraid or in pain anymore. I feel just immense gratitude that she's no longer suffering, because with Alzheimer's, there's nothing you can do. You can't make it better for them in any way. It's just a horror, and I'm really grateful that's over with, but gonna miss her terribly, of course. So it's been a hard transition. It's been a very strange one with the coronavirus thing going on. I'm glad she missed that. Anyway, I had written a eulogy that I was going to read today at the graveside service for those who came tomorrow, when it was going to be tomorrow. And I'd like to read that now. I did read it as my son and my sister Nicole and I were watching her body be interred. And that was quite an intense experience. Now I'd like to read it to you as a tribute to my mom. So here goes. Pat was my mom, and she was all about love, plain and simple. It motivated most everything she did, and she took brave leaps for it. She was born with a heart defect that made her life very challenging. As a young woman, she knew she wanted children more than anything, and risked her life to make it possible by undergoing heart valve replacement when open heart surgery was in its very infancy. That successful procedure allowed her and Dad to bring my sister and I into this world. Motherhood was her highest calling, and she was the sweetest mom. The best memories of my childhood are from the years 1974 and 75, after we moved to Wenatchee because, for the first time in our lives, Mom didn't work outside the home. My memories of her sending us off to school in the morning and welcoming us home each day in our little Cherry Manor apartment are precious to me. She was so happy and in her element being a full-time mom. In those summers, she created macrame plant hangers and grew tomatoes. She loved motherhood as her full-time purpose, and it was a glorious thing to experience as her kids. In the late 70s, the heart valve she had received in the early 60s was beginning to wear out, and she had open heart surgery a second time, receiving a brand new artificial heart valve design. Determined and resilient as she always was, she got through her second open heart surgery with flying colors. Her heart was strong again, and she lived to see her children graduate high school and college, just as she had so dearly wished. And on it ticked, Mom's beautiful, miraculous heart. She lived to see her children grow into adults with solid professional careers. She even lived to welcome 2 grandchildren into the world and to see them graduate as well. Something she so dearly wanted, and her heart was very full. She would have loved nothing more than to be a full-time mom, but that wasn't the way things went. She was a single working mother for the majority of our childhoods. Things were tight and we didn't have any extras growing up, but she made sure we had food and shelter and, of course, an abundance of love. Mom taught me everything I know about grace and giving, and I strive to follow her example. In many ways, she is the greatest inspiration for what I'm currently doing with my life. Her life demonstrated to me the true value and impact of giving of ourselves. How it's not the material resources that we can muster that make the true difference in people's lives. It's what we give of ourselves that is of enduring and life-changing value. And by that measure, I've never known a more generous human than my mom. As I know my sister Nicole would attest, Mom's faith in us was unfaltering. Whether she understood or approved of what we were doing with our lives or not, she always heard us out and supported us. That took a lot of grace and faith to do. As a parent myself, I have gained deep respect for how hard that must have been for her regarding many of the choices I made in my life. It all comes back around to the central force in her life: love. She simply loved all who were blessed to be in her orbit. It filled up her life no matter what challenges she faced, and she certainly faced more than I wish she had had to. Through it all, she kept shining. Thank you for all your love, Mom. I carry it in my heart, and I know you're with me as I spread the love you planted in me. I'll love you always.